right. My name's Victor. I'm a compulsive eater and weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I write them down, call them into my sponsor, weigh and measure without exception, at restaurants, parties, as well as at home. As there used to be this like newcomer kind of thing that we used to read at a meeting. It would say, uh, we weigh and measure without exception. This means at parties, at restaurants, as well as at home. And, yeah, and the abstinence is probably the most consistent spiritual practice I do on a daily basis. It is the most consistent. I mean, I don't do. I mean, I do other spiritual practices, but I think abstinence is the only one I do on a daily basis that I consider a spiritual practice. Uh, for me, I just, it's like we all, I mean, I could go over everything that, all the quagmire of compulsive eating, but I really want to just talk about, what, for me, my understanding of what it's like now in that compared to what it was like then, in that, um, when I got into the rooms, I used to hear everybody say and I bet you it's probably really weird when people hear the YouTube channel and everybody's like, what the hell do they keep saying that? Or weight measure, and everybody says it. But I think for me, it's about a reminder of this is what it's for me. It's not really for anybody else. I mean, I could, you know, and nobody else has to say it. Nobody has to say it. I mean, and if you're new, don't feel compelled that, oh, in order for me to fit in, I have to say this. There's no requirement for you to say, I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet and write them down, call them in. So there's no requirement for that and when you share. And I just want to make that clear because, um, I think it's a choice whether I say it or not. It's either affirmation that I'm doing what I need to do or it's not. Well, it's an affirmation, but I mean, it's not a requirement. So I can say it, but if I don't feel like saying it, that's fine. It doesn't mean I'm less recovered than somebody else. You know what I mean? It means that just for today, I don't feel like saying it. And there's a lot of things I don't feel like doing. Um, and so I have to be discerning about what I do and what I don't do. And for me, what I do is I need to need to shop and chop, need to average the scale because for me, it's like I know that I'm a compulsive eater. I relapsed like 2 years ago now. And man, that's you know, ever since then, it's like that obsession is like a daily thing, and it talks about the in Dr. Bob's story is that he had cravings for years after he stopped drinking, right? And I think of cravings as the obsession. It's not really, for me, I think once I get the substance out of my body, the physical compulsion is gone. It's always mental obsession at that point, you know. And I really like what the Big Book says in the third edition on XXVI. Towards the last paragraph, it says, "People drink or and I would say people eat carbohydrates and sugars essentially because they like the effect produced by them. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, and I'm sure everybody can admit that even when they're compulsive eating, they cannot after a time differentiate truth from false, right? And that to them, compulsive eating life seems to only normal one. They're restless, they're irritable and discontent unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort which comes at once by a few bites which they see others take with impunity. After they succumb to the desire again, as many of them do, the phenomenon of craving develops and they pass through well known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful, firm resolutions not to compulsively eat again, yada, yada, yada. We've all had those, right? And there's another text that I read on a daily basis that asks something similar to that. In that obsession is the fixed idea that takes us back in time and again to our particular uh, food or some substitute to recapture the ease and comfort we once knew. And I think that for me, that makes more sense to me because I'm trying to recapture that thing that I thought it was. And even when I eat now, it's not like I get sense of I didn't get sense of ease and comfort when I relapsed. I didn't get that. I thought I would because that's that mental obsession. And I do now. I even think now it's like, oh, if I just eat more, or if I do this, or if I do that, I will recapture that sense of recapture it, and it'll be mine, and I'll have that same. And it's always the ritual of getting and using and finding ways and means to get more, right? And for me, you know, it's I have to battle that. And I say battle, and not so much as a battle as, I'm fighting, resisting. It's more of I have to surrender on a daily basis to the program, which is a higher power than me, the the scale, which is a higher power than me, the sponsor, which is when it comes to having this idea about turning my food over, letting them letting them guide me through the program. That's a power greater than myself. And for me, there's I for me, there's an idea of the source of consciousness, and source of creation, and for me, it's about tapping into that too, this source of consciousness. And when I hear people's stories, I come to meetings to remind me of where I come from because it gives me that wordless language of empathy, right? That I know exactly what you're going through. I don't have to say how bad mine was compared to yours. I just have to, I know that that I recognize the same feelings, thoughts, feelings, and emotions that comes with it. And, everything that I know is subject to revision, even what I know about the truth. And so what I say today may not be the same thing I think tomorrow, right? It'll be totally different than what I think tomorrow. And, you know, getting abstinent, I've gone through phases where I was like this serious, like ultra, um, I would say fundamentalist when it comes to gray sheet, big book's the only answer that there is to work into steps, and the gray sheet is it's this and it's not anything else, and whoever's doing something that I don't agree with is wrong, and they're not abstinent, and they can, they shouldn't even share in a meeting. I'm going to call them out on it, and I know what's best, and that's control, that's fear. It was fear that was making me think that way. It's like, okay, if I don't work this, if I don't work the program like this, exactly like this, I'm going to relapse. If I don't live life like this, I'm trying to get right with the world. I wanna be right with the world, and, what I mean by right is, like, I wanna just be able to live life on its own terms without any pain, and it's like, no, that if just being like that's just causing me even more pain, right? Being controlling, being like I'm acting as I'm the higher power for the group, right? And it's like I know that when it comes to the group conscience, we're guided by a greater consciousness, when it comes to the group conscience. It's like we're guided by a greater consciousness that helps us come to these decisions that we come to as a group, as a higher group, to help guide us in improve our recovery. I think programs, the 12-step programs over years have changed so much, they've evolved, and even the way people are looking at the big book and looking at it differently in having these new ideas and thoughts about certain passages in the books and how they understand them is makes it a living kind of document in that case, not necessarily the words changing or anything, but our thoughts and perceptions around what certain things mean changes over time. When I read something now, what I read it 10 years ago may be something totally different than what I understand. And I see the time and coming up on 3 minutes left. And, I think being able to be open to new thoughts and new ideas is the idea behind the program, right? I need to find a new way to live, right? Um, I know that the steps are designed to give me an opportunity to ease the pain of living through spiritual principles, and part of those spiritual principles are the scale, the gray sheet, the commitment, the surrender, the honesty. Um, there's certain things that I have to do on a daily basis in order to have ease and to be able to have that freedom from the to ease the pain of living, right? Um, and you know, I think for me, the most important, I'm not good with people. I do well when it comes to certain things, but I'm real like on the spectrum when it comes to certain things too, because I'm like when I'm done with the conversation, I feel like just turning around and leaving. It's like I'm done. It's not like I want to continue on. It's like I'm pretty much done. And so and some people it weirds out, like, I when it like when I'm on the phone with somebody, I can just sit there in silence because I'm not going to continue with the, so that wears people out, and it makes, but that's okay with me. I understand that today, that's how I am, and I don't have to make excuses for that today. And that's just one example of how I've come to self acceptance. It's like I recognize this about me. I don't have to change it. If I want to change it, if I feel like it's causing a problem in my life and it's giving me pain, then I will do that. When the pain of living with it or pain of change is greater than the pain of living with it, I may change. And if it's not causing me pain, then I why that's one thing. Anyway, got it. 1 minute. And for me today, I don't know if any of that made any sense. All I know is that this is, when before I got on, I got in touch with my source of existence, and I said, I'm just going to share where I'm at, what's going on in my brain, how things are going, and and leave it at that. And if you're new, um, you really do not. or coming back or in constant, you're constantly eating and you don't feel like you're abstinent or doing you know or you know and I'll finish with this and that, you are abstinent but you don't feel like you're abstinent, or you're just day one, day zero, day one, day zero, day. You don't have to compulsively eat again. Just for today, just for this moment, you don't have to do it again. You don't have to, and remember that that fixed idea that's going to bring you back to that is a lie. That fixed idea that's going to get you think you're going to get ease and comfort is a lie. And don't believe that lie.